Hey, everybody, welcome to another night of Bucs Live. I'm one of your hosts, Rick Hughes. This is your other, more charming, dazzling David Whitescarver. Why are you pointing at me?
Because you're recused.
Anyway, welcome to the show, guys. It's going to be a great show. We have a very special guest. We have the legend, Rock Riley, will be stopping by, the host of the Rock Stops Here podcast and so much other stuff, and we'll get into that. But we've got a great show tonight. It's going to be absolutely exciting. Happy to have you. Got free agency to sort of recap for you, and let's go through what lies ahead right here on Bucs Live.
Are you ready? Get ready.
Get ready. It's time for Bucs Live.
Wait a minute. Bucs Live.
Bucs Live.
Tampa Bay Buccaneers talk with Rick Hughes and David Whitescarver.
This is
Bucs Live.
Let's Go.
All right, kiddos. We got a lot to cover, lots of news, lots of stuffs. Free agency is basically kind of coming to an end. Some names you've never heard of getting thrown out there. Every once in a while, a little something, a little trade happening here or there. I think more of that next week at the owners' meeting. Free agency, there's only one way to say this. Bucs win. Bucs win. Bucs win. I mean, the Bucs, we won again.
Well, the next thing you know, Mike Evans is going to already restructure his contract or something.
He's
crazy
already
like
done that, Dave. He already restructured the
did?
contract. He said,
Oh my
already.
gosh. That's the 77th. He's going to get paid in like 2099 will be his last check.
Yeah, he'll get paid in like whatever comes after Bitcoin. It's already in his contract. I mean, it's crazy. He's Mike Evans. Yeah, don't think for a second. I joke around and say by the time he's done restructuring, he'll be paying the team to play. But don't just understand that's a joke. He's getting paid every dime he signed. It's just a matter of fiddling with the numbers and making them look different and opening cap space, which I think the Bucs right now have about almost 10 million left. Guys, what a win. Free agency. What a win. It's phenomenal. It really is. To look at what the Buccaneers have done in free agency, re-signing their own players is wizardry. The fact that they went out and got Bryce Hall and got line depth, and I mean, my big criticism the year after the Super Bowl was they were so excited. We signed everybody back. And my big criticism was, well, that means you didn't get better. Well, as a compliment to the Buccaneers, they didn't re-sign everyone. They traded Carlton Davis. They did not re-sign Devin White, who $100 million get live 45. He wants a $100 million contract. Plays his final year of his contract, and what's he do? He signs a 1-year contract with Philly for $4 million. I don't know. I'm not the numbers guy, Dave is, but to me, that sounds like there's a large difference.
Sometimes, depending upon your mindset and who you are, betting on yourself is not a good plan.
and for Devin White to bet on himself, not a good plan.
Sometimes it doesn't work.
Right. But if you're Baker Mayfield, if you're Antoine Winfield, and you bet on yourself, cha-ching, look at what happens. So good for them. Good for those guys. I'm happy to hear that. And basically, I know Shaq Barrett left and Shaq went to Miami, and now he's saying all the things he has to say, like, well, now I got to show the Bucs. They made a mistake by letting me go. he's got to say all that stuff. I don't have any problem with what Shaq Barrett's saying. We let the guy go. We made decisions. Decisions were made. He's got to use what he can to motivate himself where he's at. By all means, buddy, good luck to you. I hope you do well. Show us. I hope you do. I hope you do. In addition, Jameis is no longer going to be in New Orleans. And I want to bring this up because I want to say this. Now that Jameis is gone out of our division, are you guys at all willing to kind of root for him? I mean, are y'all kind of willing to say, you know what? Okay, you're a good guy. You're a nice guy. You seemed like a nice guy in the community when you weren't getting arrested.
You see the look on my face? I'm not even trying.
I understand. I understand.
I wasn't trying. It just came this way.
I'm just doing a show here. Look, I don't hate Jameis. I don't hate Jameis. I think he got a little bit of a raw deal in the media for some things. And then I think his biggest enemy, the biggest hurdle he has to deal with is himself. He's out there doing Fred Sanford training exercises with somebody chasing him with a broom or something. I don't know. I don't know what that's all about, but he does
outside the box,
way outside the box. So, you look at that guy and you go, I don't know. I don't hate Jameis and I don't wish him poorly now that he's gone. Good. Best of luck to you. Devin White, as Christopher Cole said, White found his worth. I couldn't agree more, Christopher. Couldn't agree more. White found his worth. Jeff Olson says, I didn't root for him when he was in Tampa. I wanted the team to do well, but I find Jameis very unlikable. I do not. I find Jameis to be goofy, awkward, socially a little weird, but I don't see him as being someone that I don't know. Everybody that I know that's encountered him, everybody I know that has been around him all says he's a very nice guy. And I hope
he can't rhyme before the game.
I just think he needs to lay off the motivational talk. I mean, I have to say a TED Talk would be the thing of legend if Jameis did a TED Talk. It would be, oh my God, I would pay money to go to that, to hear Jameis do a TED Talk, because he's going to keep the internet alive for about 5 years off that one talk. I mean, he's going to say stuff that is just going to be pure gold.
He's a walking meme, right?
He's the man is just one after another. Or as JPP would say, eat a W or no, never mind. Long story. But it just, to me, when I look at free agency this year and I look at what Jason Light and company have done, and there are still people who are critical of Jason Light. Stop it. The man doesn't deserve like front office. I forget what they call it. Management of the year, executive of the year. He deserves executive of the decade. This guy has been next level playing chess while everybody else in the league is playing checkers. Yes, everybody has the ability. And this is what I want everybody to notice here. Everybody has the ability to re-sign your own players and kick the can down the road. But not everybody has the ability to re-sign the right players and let the other ones go. He's not afraid to admit when he made a mistake. This is one of his greatest attributes, I think, is he's willing to admit when he makes a mistake. He's willing to say, Oh yeah, that was a bad move. Let's cut this player and move on. Roberto Aguayo. There are others, many others. He's willing to move on from the times that it doesn't go well. And so many times this guy's catching lightning in a bottle that I think Jason Light is so underrated. And when they talk about like team captain, who should wear the C on their chest, I would love at a press conference, I would love for Jason Light to walk out with a C right there because that guy's a team captain. That guy is a leader. And I wish they would vote him to be a team captain. And I mean, when it comes to when you talk about and I think this is interesting, and everybody does the show every year. Who would be on the Buccaneers Mount Rushmore? Holy cow, man! You gotta consider him as a front office guy. You gotta consider. Maybe you don't put him up there because he's a front office guy, but that man brought us that last Super Bowl. Make no mistake, that was Jason Light. So, I mean, that is an amazing thing. And there have been decades of horrible play and embarrassing play by this team. And then to see where this organization has come. And actually, I'm excited about this. I am very, very excited about our next guest. Host of the Rock Stops Here podcast. You'll see him on Lightning Hockey Night Live. You'll see he's man, I can't even tell you everything the man does, but I will tell you this: flat out legend. I mean, and this is the thing about you, Rock. Everybody's trying to outdo themselves with this shtick of being aggressive, nasty, being whatever, and then there's you, who's been the nicest guy in Tampa sports since I remember.
Well, what an introduction, but you know what they say, nice guys finish last. So this is where I am in my home.
But they're running a different race.
They are. The one thing that I did learn, and the more as the years go on and you talk to those that have made it in the business, be yourself. Those are the two things. I've been doing a podcast now for 2 years. It must have, I think, 100, maybe 130, 40 guests. Everyone has been in person, even during the COVID times, and everybody says the same thing. Also, don't be a jerk. Don't be a jag off. That's the number one thing where there's people that are talented and they bury themselves because no one wants to deal. It's already hard enough with everything going on, but then if you're a jag off, who wants to deal with you? So be yourself and be a good person, and then you're already, maybe you're at 60-70%.
Well, you're almost there.
Yeah. Almost.
That's the thing, though, that I have memories of you going back years, and I'm pretty sure I'm older than you, but I can remember you from a long time ago. And that's an amazing thing to sit there and remember me as a 20-something, 30-something. I remember, I have the memories of Rock Riley, and it's an honor to have you on here. It's pretty cool.
And well, hey, honor as well. And the thing about it is too, it's nice to tell stories and have experience of covering the team and being in San Diego, when they won the first time, or, when the Lightning going to Calgary and now cover. But those stories are nice, but you got to be in it. You got to be current. What's happening now?
Yeah.
ESPN years ago, they spent a lot of money on ESPN Classics. Some of the greatest games. It failed. It went away. People don't. They want to know now what's happening right now. The news cycle is so short. So that's the thing. I appreciate that. It's nice, but thank God that I'm still there. Bucs, Rays, Lightning, and still, day to day. What's cooking now?
That's kind of my point. That's what I think is so cool. And that is sort of my point, is that it's like the memories from then, but dude, you're still there doing it. And you've seen the organization change. You've seen this Buccaneers organization change. You've seen how it's different. Will you explain to me, in your eyes, how do you see what all do you see the changes? Because me as an outsider, I look at it, it just feels like everything's different in the way they handle stuff. But you're kind of there.
I go by right now, coming off of last season, good place. Brady's last year, there was a lot more stuff, more negative than even I know. Like there's a lot more, and I start hearing a little bit more and more as time goes on. It was unbelievable when Brady came. That was incredible. He changed it. Young guys that were coming out on the field, you could see it. Everything that he did, he was like, no, I want you there, and your receiver, you're there. And he was always working on stuff. Even if it was a drill, he finishes, he's still doing movements, competing. All the quarterbacks, when they have those different drills of guy driving the cart with the big circle in it, and then the laundry basket behind there, and then they finish trying to hit the crossbar, and they like compete, and Leonard Fournette is yelling over here. So, I mean, that was unbelievable. So that kind of changed it. It raised the game. Brady's here, so you don't want to let Brady down. This is the GOAT. It's like playing with Michael Jordan, or if Tiger Woods was on a team. Like, this is your chance. So, and they got it. And then, okay, the year after, and then the last year, he really did not want to get hit. And couldn't you blame him at 45 years old? But it was also, he was number one, and I think it was Roethlisberger the one year of getting it out so quick. And the last year, it was almost a half second, full second, even faster. And it just, you know how it goes. You're up for a while and going down here. So there had to be changes made. And I knew back in October that Todd Bowles was going to fire Leftwich. He had already made up his mind. Leftwich was Arians' guy. Arians, when he decided to step down, and it's still a little bit fishy at that point. Still,
we don't buy any of the explanation whatsoever.
So good, you're on good, very good, David. So, but this I know. So he wanted to clean house, get his own guys, and then Arians is Mr. Loyalty. That's what I was told. And actually, when I sat down with him a couple of weeks ago, he's a big loyal guy. And the guys that were fired were the guys that he brought in. Even though Todd Bowles is his guy, he didn't like that. So he really stepped away. He was not there the whole time. He never went to a practice. He was never there. We never saw him. He was never there. And so it was Bowles' time. He was going to ride or die. And he knew, being older, on the hot seat, where he was, if he didn't come through, he's never going to get a chance. This is it. So he's like, I'm going to go with my guys. And then he hires Canales. He interviewed 11 people, and he didn't know Canales. That rarely happens. It's a good old boy network. You never hire a coordinator that you never met, but he blew him away in the interview. He wanted to go younger. And then overall, Jason Light, the job that he did, I mean, it was $75 million in dead cap money. And they couldn't afford it. And look at what they did. And Mayfield was an unbelievable story. So my point is, going in, even when they had that losing streak, I've been in locker rooms where somebody over here starts squawking, and this one's not getting the ball, and this guy's worried about his contract money because if our team sucks, we're not going to be. No, there was none of that. Awesome. They liked playing for Bowles. They believed in Mayfield. Mayfield is a big team guy. He loves being around teammates. Not that Brady wasn't. Brady was, but Brady was at the end. It was different. So what you say is that how the organization has changed. Where they are right now is in a good spot. But all the coaches always tell me, even players, don't go by what happened last year. It is a new year, and the opponents are different. So, I mean, we'll see. But right now, and finishing out the year and going over there, they're doing a lot of remodeling. The entire practice facility of all the 4 fields, it's dirt. They're blowing out walls. They're changing, they're remodeling all of one buck. They're building a big studio because now these teams, it's changed. It's all take everything in-house, and they have these palaces and studios. So there's a lot of remodeling going on right now. But overall, to answer your question, I think they're in a good spot.
Okay, is Jason Light as good as he seems?
Good man. Good man. And he knows. Like he's even said to me and to two other people that I can think of, like, I can't believe I'm here 10 years. Like you're normally not around 10 years.
This is supposed
Seriously.
to happen this way.
Yeah. And he's gotten it done. I sat down with Joel Glazier a year ago at the NFL owners meetings. It was out in Phoenix. And because I had been around so much, I went out there on my own and he agreed and he sat down with me. And I was trying to get my, on bowls. And he was like, we want to win. Like, we got to win. And I was like, okay. I was just thinking Bulls on the hot seat. But Jason Light, even if they had not won last year, his job was secure. Now, you get 2 or 3 bad years, different story. But they're like, he and Arians, they were able to bring the GOAT here. And look at all that he's done and where they are. So he's very he's happy, but he knows, you got to win, man.
You talked about Arians being around the team the 1 year in Bull's first year,
yes,
and then not being around there next. I felt like that was necessary. I felt awkward when I heard, oh yeah, Arians is out there on the field in a golf cart, and I'm thinking, well, that's kind of a weird power dynamic, isn't it?
And he said it. He actually said that. I was at his big golf thing that he has for the Arians Family Foundation, and it was at Innisbrook. And myself and Ira were talking to him, and he was like, because I was like, you were around. He's like, too much. I was around too much. I got to step back. And you're right. Because when you have a coach that won the Super Bowl, the one that kind of gave you this gig, and now you don't want him around. Because what was happening is I was noticing a lot of times some of the offensive guys, quarterbacks, like when Arians would go over, they would kind of talk to him. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think it was best for all. And you know how it goes, guys. We're all up. You get up there and like when I've seen this in baseball for so many years, when coaches, when they retire, it's always, okay, yeah, they want to spend more time with the family. Okay, I get it. But also the wives are not used to them just hanging around like all day. And you can't play golf all day. So I know like he wanted to spend time at the cabin that he has in Georgia. But also he's red because he plays so much golf. So, it's one of those things where it's good to go home, but they're not used to you being home all day. That's something to get used to.
Good morning. When are you leaving?
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've actually saw. I know of a former catcher, and he was a coach in the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. Great guy. And he's like, they got divorced, man. They got divorced because for so many years, he's out, and now all of a sudden he's home all day trying to figure out. And these guys, like they put everything they are in to getting to the NFL or MLB, and that's all they know. That's all they know. And all of a sudden, boom, that's over. Okay, now what do I got to do? What if you're not a golfer? What if you're not a hunter? And what do you do?
That kind of caught me off guard about Brady. I honestly, because he was so everywhere in the media and constantly Instagramming. It was constant while he was with the Bucs. And when he stepped away for like a year, he's gone. I mean, he's like vapor. You don't see anything about him now. I hear he's done things getting ready for next year with CBS, but
Fox.
With Fox.
That's okay. They're all the same. CBS had the Super Bowl this year. No. I did. No, he actually has been very, very busy because he has been. I know somebody that's fairly close to him. He's got a lot of businesses, and the first time that he retired, because his wife, they were trying to make it, but it's so funny. Everybody thinks that all of a sudden, yes, she did not like Tampa. We know that. She liked Miami. A lot of times when wives, I remember Marty St. Louis for the Lightning, his wife hated Tampa. And when they're in here, like, oh, I hate it here. That's hard. But it wasn't just that. Like, if this had been brewing, you know what I mean? And that year is sunken in. He lost all the wages, kids. And that's hard, man. So no matter how famous you are. And then he thought he was done. But you see him at practices right at the end, and he's still like winging it. And he had all, and I was like, And then he went TB12. He had two other businesses. He was starting another one. He was sitting in these conference rooms and corporate meetings, and it's this problem, and he's putting out a fire here, and this is no fun. I want to
Right.
still play. I think I can still play. I got a little bit more in me. And the Bucs were going to go with Trask, and they were thrilled when he called and he said he had one more year.
Yeah. I wondered if it wasn't something like he came back and said, "Hey, I'll come back, but I want to make some changes." And Arians didn't say,
You never know.
fine. Yeah.
You could be.
No.
You know what? You could
We'll
be
hear
right.
one day. We'll hear
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah. It isn't. The relationship isn't as bad as it looks like. Like, I know that because I've talked to Bruce eye to eye, but there's got to be some more to it.
Yeah.
You know. So he got along really good with Clyde Christensen. He was the QB's coach.
Yeah.
And he was with him all the time. And he and Leftwich, I guess, it worked. Hey, they got the Super Bowl, right? So,
Yeah. What do you think about Cohen? Compared to Canales? I mean, what do you think about that? Is that going to be is that a move? It feels like an upgrade to me somehow.
we will find out, right? We will find out, because what I've learned over the years is someone can win the press conference, great, but does it translate? And does what you are planning to do, does that translate to the players that you have, the system you have? So I talked with Liam Cohen. I was actually sitting right here for the last press conference. I had back-to-back that couple of days. It was Mike Evans first, and then it was Baker Mayfield. And I asked, hey, what about the offensive coordinator? And he was sitting right here. And then it was done. And he was like, boom, thanks, bro. I said, there you go. He loves Baker. Baker, of course, he's got to. I mean, this is his chance.
Right.
I remember when Canales came here and he did his press conference. You're like, who is this guy? He had never called plays before, except JV high school back in California. Wow. You're going to take your chance on that? Like, that was my reaction, So he had his press conference, and then he had us in another room. And it was just a handful of us that are there all the time. No microphones, no notes, anything. Just close the door, get to know each other. And we're like, Kyle Trask is all you got. Brady has retired. You don't have any money. So you're way over the cap. Are you sure this is it? And he was like, guys, there's only how many of these jobs? Who knows? Who knows if I ever get this opportunity again?
Same thing he's saying at Charlotte, right?
Yeah. But I mean, this is when he came to the Bucs from Seattle. He had never been. And it's like Kyle Trask, and they were pumping up Kyle Trask. And then I remember we're out in Phoenix, and Bruce Arians came out, and we're like, are you sure you don't want to? Because at the time, Brady had retired. Are you sure your health? No. I like building this team. Okay. And then he goes, look at what we did, Cyril Grayson. Look what we did. There was a guy, blah, blah, blah. And I said, so Kyle Trask, that's the only quarterback you have. He was like, oh, Kyle's our guy. So fast forward to months later, they have the press conference for Bruce Arians. He's going in the Ring of Honor, and they have it there, and he's up there. And I said, Bruce, when we saw you at the in Indy, I was asking you about Kyle Trask. You were saying, oh, he was so great. And Arians goes, I had to. What was my other choice?
What do you want me to say? We're doomed.
Right. So right now, Liam Cohen is saying all the right things. At least he does know Baker from the Rams. There's similarity. The system is a little bit similar, but it's going to be new terminology. Wolford, who's the third string quarterback, was also with the Rams, and he knows the terminology. And Liam Cohen told us he's going to help teach the guys. It helps to have another guy that knows the terminology. So, and he also was saying, he was like, no, I'm tweaking it. Like, I want to get Mike Evans the ball more. I'm going to move him around more. I got some ideas. And then Bowles was like, look, every year is different. They're starting from scratch. It's a new offensive coordinator. So it usually takes a little bit.
How good a quarterback do you think Baker Mayfield is going to be when you look back on his career?
You know what? I'm looking at where he is. I think it humbled him being an overall number one pick, going to the Browns, did lead him to a playoff, gets the injury. They say goodbye to him. Then he bounces around. The Carolina Panthers, doesn't work. They say goodbye. He goes to the Rams. He comes in relief. He does pretty good, and they say goodbye. It's like no matter what you do, if you have like 3 different companies and they say goodbye to you, you're like, wow, man.
You got it now.
So I then last
One
year,
constant here is me. So-
yeah, no. So that was actually, it depends. Now, how do you react? Do you learn from that? Does that make you stronger, realizing that your blank doesn't stink, that you're overall number one? So when he was at Innisbrook at the going to play last year at Arians thing, and I remember I came away, I was like, so you know where you were and where you are today, and he went, I was drafted number one for a reason, and it actually struck me like, oh, that's still a little cocky. No, that's okay though.
Yeah,
That's okay.
good.
It's to have that, like, I still believe in myself, but let me see if this is going to work. And then with Evans, he's like, oh my God, he's the best receiver that I've ever played for. And then a Godwin's, and then it was up and down. But and the players, they like him. They like him. He's over at his locker. He has the same locker that Brady had. As soon as you come in the locker room, that first locker around the corner, he's right there. And he goes out with the offensive lineman. He took them to the Bahamas to a fishing trip. That was their, and they had he had a chef, and the beers are going to be flowing. That was his Christmas party, a present to the guys.
Good choice.
I think it was. Yeah, he goes to a lot of Lightning games, and and now he's like, man, my wife and I were having our baby. We actually can put down roots. I like this. So he's in a really good place. Now, how good can he be? I know there's a lot of guys in my business that say, I don't think he can win a Super Bowl. How do you know? How do you know?
Yeah.
It is a team sport. I mean,
Right.
You're
Look
one
at Brad
of
Johnson. Brad Johnson is my guy, but I remember watching him in practice. His arm, it was kind of dead, but he got it done.
Yeah.
He's around him. You don't have to. Hell, Dilfer won a dang Super Bowl with the Ravens. So I mean, you're right. You're right, David. It's what you have around you.
Yeah.
it's like
Absolutely.
you have it amazes me, and I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL looks at somehow doing something about this, but you have all these great young quarterbacks that go to a really bad team because they're drafted so high, and they're kind of ruined by the organization, by the coaching, by the situation of having no offensive line. And next thing you know, they're done.
And there's I'm telling you what, like most of the coaches tell me, like it's really hard to judge because in college, they're all under the shotgun. The plays are all called from the line of scrimmage. They're moving so quick, and all of a sudden you get in the NFL, and that's a big adjustment. Now, the ones that are playing now and are coming up, they all have come up with 7-on-7. They played year round. They've given up their other sports. It isn't like the old days where, a rookie quarterback, there's no way he can play in the first year. No, they're paying, you're number one pick. You're going to get thrown in. You're right. The team normally is bad. So that's the thing. I was like, well, what if they, are they going to go in the draft for another quarterback? But Jason Light had, this is before that they had, this is when the season was towards the end when they were playing pretty good ball. And Jason Light told somebody that I know, is like, I hope he's our quarterback for the next 10 years. And I was like, oh, they are really going to try to do him. So
we were amused that neither side played poker in these negotiations. They did like everything wrong. It's like, I want to come back here so bad on a hot mic, and it's just, we'll do whatever. It's gonna be a squeeze, but we want them all back. Yeah, I was like, this isn't supposed to work this way.
Well, you're right, because we were over at the Pro Bowl, and Baker Mayfield had not signed or anything,
right?
And there was big news at the Pro Bowl in Orlando. I can't remember what the signing was or whatever. And so we're asking him, and he's like, all right, and he's giving answers. And then people are like, this guy's thinking that he's already there, like he's going to play here. Well, we're asking him, what's going to say? No comment. You know what I mean? And that was interesting too, because it was in Orlando. They had open practice. And again, it was flag. But, they're the stars. They're all there. The Mannings were there. The Mannings were coaching the teams. And because and people keep telling me it's because it's Orlando, the local. The fans yelling for the most was Kelsey. Now, of course, it was Eagles Kelsey, but because of the Kelsey name. And Mayfield, Baker, Mayfield,
Yeah.
Mayfield, of all the stars that were there.
Well,
So, it's a
yeah,
great story.
that's part of what I want to bring up because there's a picture I like to bring up here. And this ties in both what Dave said just a second ago and what you said, where if a quarterback goes to a bad team, somebody who's like the fans love Baker now, right?
Right,
He was a darling at the Pro Bowl making the rounds.
right.
But like a year earlier, he's running on this defensive scout team for the Panthers. He's got a hand in the ground. He's running on the defensive scout team for the Panthers. So to go, how many stars have been lost in this league being put in a bad situation? It almost happened to Baker.
And you know what? He didn't. He knew that. He knew if this didn't work out this year, he's not going to get a chance to be a starter anywhere else. That was it. So he knew that, but he also didn't. He was mature enough. It's not like he's old. He's 27 or 28. So it's not. But he's had some thread. He's been around. He's seen what's happened. He's been humbled, knowing this is his last chance. And what Jason Light also says. Most would not be able to come through following the GOAT. That's following Jordan. That's following Tiger Woods. That's following. So for him to just, it wouldn't let him. Oh, you know what Mike Evans says? That's a bit the big thing that he's like, I watched him. I didn't know him. He's a good dude. The thing about him was, and they noticed it in training camp, if he threw a bad pass, he threw an interception, he screwed up, it's gone. It's all in the huddle. The next play, gone, because you can't get that back.
Yeah.
So guys are like, oh man, what am I? No. even in games, because in that offensive huddle, when they had Brady, that was the one thing they would always tell us. We'd been there Wednesday, Thursday, walk through Friday, even after games. Like, we think we got a chance with Brady. There's only a minute 12, and we got to go 7. We got to go. We felt it. Well, with they that's a hard thing for him to come in, and a new offense, and a guy that's never called plays. That's another thing. You got to be a step ahead, and he's never done it. So I noticed what they were doing at training camp. I'd never seen this before. During practices, the offensive coordinator is usually right there with the offense. They have an assistant. He puts up the it's like a board, and he'll have certain formations. They'll look at that, blah, blah, blah. He'll tell them what the play is. The quarterback call the play to get out. Boom. Canales was over with a walkie-talkie, talking into his head. They were getting practice during training camp because they had to. And Canales would even tell us, even like after a quarter of the season, he's like, I couldn't believe how honest he is. What I learned is these defensive coordinators are so good. We have it's working at halftime. We come out second half. We try those plays. They're shutting us down. That's what I'm learning. Yeah. So I mean, he was learning on the job. It was amazing that they did what they did, but you saw they were just getting better at the end. That's
my wonder why I think my musing, I guess, is I think that maybe the Buccaneers with Baker did better than Carr in New Orleans, because in New Orleans, they had an offense and said to Derek Carr, hey, you're a great quarterback. Come run our offense. And with Baker, they said, Baker, come on in. Let's get the right coordinator and let's build an offense around the quarterback and the players we have. It just seemed like a whole different mentality or thought process.
And like the offensive line, like, look at that. I mean, how about that at the beginning? And they were in a hostile environment. It's on the road. They got to use the silent count, the hand gestures. And you got Cody Mock. He had played at North Dakota State and had been, he did good in the Senior Bowl. Oh, okay, he could be a guard. And he was undersized. He's going to get bigger. They kind of believe in him. Luke Gedeke, is he going to make it? He's over at tackle. Tristan Wirfs, we're going to move you totally to the other side. And he told us that he was seeing a shrink because he couldn't sleep at night. You never know it, as confident as he is. How about that? He was freaking out with anxiety. I don't know if I can do this. And then Ryan Jensen, he's going to retire. We'll have Hainsey. Hainsey's undersized. So for what they did, although the left guard's the spot that's up for grabs. That's why they brought in these two guys, Bredson and Opeta, one from the Giants,
Yeah.
Eagles. They got to get the left guard. We'll see. Haynes, maybe even a center. We'll see what they do. But overall, how about that? Like going into the season with that makeshift line.
There's one missing piece. Jackson Powers Johnson. Just for the name alone, they need to draft him in the first round.
I like everything about him, and I like the name. I do like that.
How do you not like that? Powers
good
Johnson. Come on.
Jackson Powers Johnson with a pancake block.
Rock, I want to thank you for being on here. I don't want to keep you anymore because I want to have you come back here. I want you to like being here, and maybe, and I'll tell everybody about this shortly. We're going to have a little birthday party coming up that we'll tell you guys about, and maybe, just maybe, you'll be able to stop by.
Hopefully. Right. It was an honor, guys. I really enjoyed it, man. Very, very good.
Oh, we're honored to have you here. It's been a blast.
Where do they find you? Where does everybody find you?
Real Rock Riley on Twitter, on Instagram, Rock Riley on Facebook. And then my podcast is The Rock Stops Here. And I go out, and whoever has made it to the top, how did you make it to the top? What if you're no longer in the limelight? And it's been very, very interesting. So at Real Rock Riley. There you go.
Excellent. Thank you, Rock.
All right, guys. My pleasure.
I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Have a great night.
You got it.
Wow, that was awesome. That was awesome. I'm
Show's over. We can go home.
Yeah. All right, bye. Yeah, he is fantastic. I appreciate the fact that he was willing to spend that time with us, and it's like plugging into someone who really genuinely knows. A lot of people, and this makes me laugh. A lot of times you hear on Twitter or you hear in different places, well, my sources tell me, and it's some dude with no sources. They've just subscribed or followed the right Twitter accounts, and then they just repeat what they see there. Rock is the guy. I mean, he's like he said, well, when I was talking to Bruce and I was talking, that he actually is.
What struck me when he said he had a sit down with Joel Glazer.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen unless they trust you implicitly.
Yeah.
So it just speaks volumes that they have that kind of relationship with people, with ownership. I mean,
absolutely.
He has the pulse on the entire organization.
Absolutely. And you brought up somebody to him, Dave, that I want to talk a little bit about. A certain center with a name you love.
Jackson Powers Johnson.
I know Dave loves that name. I know Todd from Winter Park absolutely loves this guy. Apparently he had a great Senior Bowl. He's projected to go, I think, around number 22, somewhere around there. Maybe the Bucs could trade up a little bit and get to him. Maybe he'll slip. Who knows? Things happen. But I know that's one guy that everybody's hot and bothered about. But coming up is the owners meeting next week. And with the owners meeting, the NFL owners meeting, there's always trades. That's where the rule changes come up. You start hearing, here's the shenanigans we're going to do with overtime next year and the kickoff. And here's what we're going to do with extra points and onside kicks. It's always the weird shenanigans that happen comes out of this owners meeting. So next week, that's taking place. That'll be the big story next week. Now that free agency's kind of died down, maybe trade talks between two teams get going a little bit. All the people who are the people are there, and
all the movers and shakers that can get things done.
Yeah, they will be
all in one place.
Yes, they will be moving and shaking and getting things done, and that is what we can look forward to next week. But the Bucs won free agency. There's not really any way to look at that. Dave put it perfectly. It was one of my favorite things. Dave said last week. He said we get the number 2 quarterback from the list of free agents. We got the number 2 wide receiver out of the list of free agents. We got the number 1 safety out of the list of free agents. By the way, we got Levante David back. I mean, guys, we got this team got better and this is what I was starting to say earlier, instead of after the Super Bowl, we're going to sign everybody back and stay the same, I think we got better. I think our offensive line has gotten better. I think we are better as a team. And the fact that we're better as a team right now, the draft hasn't happened, and we've got the best GM in football. Stop and think about that. Think of all the rookie contributors last year. Now think about adding more in, because Jason Light's not going to bring in a bunch of guys who can't compete and can't contribute. So even if it's on half, it's a bonanza. This year, this offseason has been amazing, and Jason Light is phenomenal.
And they're in two positions of need, wide receiver and offensive lineman. They tend to adapt quicker than other positions in the NFL when they're coming in. So you can have more of an impact. Well,
they need edge rusher. They really need somebody to replace. I mean, we've got replacements. We got KJ Britt. We need depth. We need linebacker. Here's the beautiful part. We're building. We need a little bit on offensive line, maybe one edge rusher, but otherwise we're kind of building depth. We're not looking for a star receiver. We got one. We're not looking for a star quarterback. We got one. We're not looking for the big running back. We got one. We're not looking for big defensive backs. We got one. We're not looking for a big linebacker. We got one. We've got one. Whatever you're looking at, we've got one. A good pass catching tight end. We got one. I mean, it's every position. We got one. A little bit on offensive line. We have, I think, improved with some depth, and we'll do more in the draft. This is a fun offseason, guys. It's been very successful. It's been good. Dave, you have anything you want to add?
I'm ready for the season to start, and I'm not usually like that in March here. So
yeah, I am
I'm
too.
usually like it's off season.
Yeah.
Wait when it starts.
Yeah, I'm more excited about this year than I was last year, and I am more excited about this year than it was the final year of Brady, because it felt like things were starting to come apart then. So I don't know, but anyway, it's exciting. I'm happy about it. Any final words?
Go Bucs, and the draft will be here before you know it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you just get the feeling this is going to be a good year. This is going to be.
And if the Bears were smart, they'd take Marvin Harrison Jr. at number 1, but they're not.
Oh, yeah. We're going to get into that because Dave thinks he's the best player in the draft. We'll probably get into that on the next show.
By far.
Ooh, we'll get into that on the next show. Thank you guys for coming. Appreciate it. It's been a great night. Thank you, Rock Riley. Thank you, Dave. Thank you, Bucs Report. Thank you, Sports Talk Florida. Thank you, Broad Street South Radio. Thank you, freaking everywhere that we are. We're all over the place, and seriously, I appreciate all you guys. Have a great night. Go Bucs. Go Bucs. Go Bucs.
We sucked today. I sucked today. We sucked today. It was awful.